Hello and welcome to another New Delhi. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Gautam Roy. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. The first Tejas Mk-1A from Nashik completes its maiden flight, gets a water cannon salute. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh says 65% of the defence equipment is now manufactured domestically. The Kremlin says many questions need resolving before Putin meets his US counterpart, as Trump says the two leaders will meet in around 2 weeks in Hungary after a phone call with the Russian president. Ukraine's Zelensky said to meet Trump at the White House. He's likely to ask the US president for Tomahawks after meeting Raytheon officials who make both the cruise weapon and Patriot missile defense systems. And Madagascar's coup leader, Colonel Michael Randrianina, is sworn in as president after the military took power following Gen Z protests which forced Ange Ratuelna to flee. Minister of Foreign Affairs of Egypt, Dr. Badr Abdulati, who is on a 2-day visit to India, called on Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Friday. Prime Minister Modi conveyed warm congratulations to President Sisi for Egypt's crucial role in the Gaza peace agreement and expressed hope it would lead to lasting peace in the region. Foreign Minister Abdulati briefed Prime Minister Modi on the first India-Egypt strategic dialogue, which was held during his visit. Prime Minister Modi expressed satisfaction at the progress in bilateral cooperation, including trade, technology, energy, defense and people-to-people ties. And Sri Lankan Prime Minister Dr. Harini Amarasuriya also called on Prime Minister Modi on Friday. She is on a 3-day visit to India. Prime Minister Modi extended a warm welcome to her, saying her visit would impart fresh momentum to the historic and multifaceted India-Sri Lanka ties. He recalled a state visit to Sri Lanka in April, highlighting fruitful talks with President Andra Kumar Dissanayake, covering all areas of cooperation. The two leaders discussed strengthening cooperation in education, technology, innovation, development and welfare of fishermen. Prime Minister Modi reaffirmed India's commitment to the shared development journey and conveyed warm wishes to President Dissanayake, looking forward to continued engagement. Now, in a major boost to India's air power and defence manufacturing capabilities, the maiden flight of the light combat aircraft Tejas Mk-1A, manufactured at the third production line of the Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, was successfully completed on Friday in Nashik. This is in the western state of Indian state of Maharashtra, in the presence of Defence Minister Rajnath Singh. Rajnath Singh inaugurated Hindustan Aeronautics Limited's newly established third production line for its light combat aircraft, the Tejas Mk-1A variant, and the second production line of HET-40 at its Nashik facility. The LCA Tejas Mk-1A, in fact, got a water cannon salute after its maiden flight. And speaking on the occasion, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh said, HAL Nashik has played the role of a strong pillar in taking India's defence manufacturing capability to new heights.
पिछले 6 दशकों से भी अधिक समय से एचएएल नासिक ने भारत की डिफेंस मैन्युफैक्चरिंग कैपेबिलिटी को नई ऊंचाइयों तक पहुंचाने में एक स्ट्रांग पिलर की भूमिका निभाई है। नासिक एक तरफ डिफेंस मैन्युफैक्चरिंग यानी निर्माण की प्रतीक है, तो दूसरी तरफ जरूरत पड़ने पर दुश्मनों का संहार करने की क्षमता भी रखती है। मैं मानता हूं कि महज केवल एक इमारत या किसी प्रोजेक्ट तक ही सीमित नहीं है, बल्कि यह रक्षा क्षेत्र में भारत की आत्मनिर्भरता को भी सिंबलाइज करता है, उसका प्रतीक है।
Applauding India's manufacturing system, the Defence Minister said India does 65% of its manufacturing in defence on its own soil now.
आत्मनिर्भरता की बात कर रहा हूं तो मेरे जेहन में वह पूरी यात्रा भी चल रही है जिसकी शुरुआत हमने 2014 से की है। एक समय था जब देश में रक्षा की जरूरतों को पूरा करने के लिए अन्य देशों पर हमारा देश निर्भर था और लगभग 65 to 70% डिफेंस इक्विपमेंट इंपोर्ट किए जाते थे। लेकिन आज स्थिति बदल चुकी है। अब भारत 65% मैन्युफैक्चरिंग अपनी ही धरती पर कर रहा है।
India is heavily focused on the indigenous development of critical technologies for its air power under the Atmanirbhar Bharat or Self-Reliant India initiative. This is primarily centered around next-generation combat aircraft, their core systems and advanced weaponry. An Inside Conference on indigenous development of critical technologies for air power was held in Delhi on Friday. It was attended by defense experts from India.
In his address, Defense Secretary Rajesh Kumar Singh underlined the need for getting DPSUs and the private sector together.
In India, we should be thinking about bringing our DPSUs and private firms together into one dual-use pipeline, mandate various subsidiary level companies, including perhaps a restructured HAL with clear-cut targets, delivery-linked pays, and while insisting on hard targets to cut costs, speed up production, and spin off civilian use technologies.
Highlighting the decisive role of the Indian Air Force in Operation Sindoor, the Vice Chief of the Indian Air Force stressed on the role of air power in the current uncertain geopolitical situation on the globe.
Air power no more plays a supportive role. It is actually shaping outcomes. And therefore, the centrality and the criticality of aviation technologies is very, very apt, because that is the future, and that is where nations will look at when it comes to having strategic independence.
A book, Asian Defense Review 2025, Geopolitical Shifts and Strategic Partnership, Multilateralism in the Indo-Pacific, was also released on this occasion. Vishal Baristo's report for DT India.
Excuse me. Now, on the sidelines of the United Nations Troop Contributing Countries Conference 2025 in New Delhi, Chief of Army Staff General Upendra Dwivedi engaged in a series of bilateral meetings with his foreign counterparts. During his meeting with Acting Chief of Army Staff of the Nepali Army, Lieutenant General Pradeep Chung, General Dwivedi discussed ways to strengthen defense cooperation and expand joint training initiatives. Both the sides emphasized the importance of collaboration in UN peacekeeping operations and reaffirmed their commitment to maintaining regular defense dialogues. In another meeting, General Dwivedi held constructive discussions with Chief of Army Staff of the Ghanaian Armed Forces, Major General Lawrence Kwaku Tebanu. The talks centered on broadening avenues for defense cooperation, including joint training, knowledge sharing and professional military education. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi has shared an article published in a leading English daily which talks about vehicle sales gaining from GST 2.0 reforms. Passenger vehicles at 3.72 lakh or 372,000, with two-wheelers recording healthy growth. The PM also shared some news on his X post which talked about consumer durable firms ringing in chartbuster Diwali, with sales surging up to 45% after the GST cuts. And the PM has also shared some news on his X post saying that GST relief sparking home buying boom in Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities. The news article further talks of India's housing market witnessing renewed optimism ahead of the festive season. The article talks of the beginning a sustained recovery in India's housing sector beyond metros. The PM's office has also shared an article on social media site X on Friday highlighting India's economy, how economy is poised for strong growth, with S&P Global Ratings projecting expansion around 6.5% this year and 7% in the next 2 years. S&P Global Ratings President Jan Lepalik said that global shocks no worry. India stays investors' darling. He added that for now, global investors continue to view India as one of the most attractive destinations for capital seeking stable, long-term growth opportunities. India's Minister of State for Science and Technology, Dr. Jitendra Singh, on Friday inaugurated the curtain raiser event of India International Science Festival in New Delhi. Addressing the event, the minister said that this time, India International Science Festival 2025 will be organized in Chandigarh from the 6th to the 9th of December, and its theme will be Prosperity Through Science, Self-Reliant India.
Next phase of our economic growth as we rise from rank 4 to 1 is going to be entirely a majorly technology driven, and that finally would also lead to reduced reliance on others and every domain, whether it's life sciences, whether it's agriculture, even the fuel sector, less of dependence on the petroleum products and more in the alternative products, which will also give a new paradigm landscape to the geopolitical nature of things that are going to be there around in the years to come. So you can understand the technology is also going to drive the geopolitical face of the world as such, and India's positioning in that world framework.
Now, as Diwali approaches, cities and towns across India are witnessing a surge in celebrations that emphasize not just lights and festivities, but also the spirit of vocal for local. This year, consumers are increasingly choosing handcrafted, eco-friendly and locally made products, reflecting a growing awareness of supporting artisans and small businesses.
From clay lamps and candles to handloom textiles and sustainable decor items, local artisans are seeing a surge in demand. Many products now incorporate natural materials and innovative designs, blending tradition with modern aesthetics. Mumbai's Kandil Gully is known for handcrafted lanterns made of sustainable materials.
हमारा मतलब आकाश कंदील बहुत बिकता है और स्वदेशी लोग ज़्यादा मांगते हैं, स्वदेशी को ही डिमांड ज़्यादा है। वो हमने वुडन का फ्रेम का बनाया है, मतलब जगदम्बा महाराज का, शिवाजी महाराज का बनाया है, छत्रपति शिवाजी महाराज का फ्रेम में, और अच्छा रिस्पांस है ग्राहक का।
इस साल हमने अलग यही रखा है कि कापड़ी रखा है, वेलवेट रखा है, जिलेटिन रखा है। ये अपना कागदी तो हर साल होता ही है, तो इस साल बस कापड़ी और जिलेटिन लाया है और छोटे कंदील लाए हैं।
3-4 महीना पहले से हम लोग कंदील बनाना स्टार्ट करते हैं। इंडियन प्रोडक्ट यूज़ करते हैं तो अपना मतलब देश का ये पैसा अपने देश में ही रहेगा, बाहर नहीं जाएगा।
This, in fact, is the perfect time to preserve India's rich craftsmanship and at the same time empower local communities and promote sustainable consumption. The emphasis on vocal for local ensures that every lantern, diya and other decorative piece purchased ensures the light of Diwali in one home brings shine and radiance of brotherhood to many others.
The Maharashtrian flavor is different for Diwali and for Ganpati. So always choose and buy Indian products because you will see thousands of variety for Akash Kandil and Diya in India.
When we purchase our own produce, we give our own artisans the encouragement as well as the local employment. And India needs that employment to grow. Our products are exceedingly competitive, and we must use this mechanism, these kind of festivals, to promote our own manufactured, Indian manufactured goods. And I think it's in the interest of nation building, and we should promote this. And for me and my family will always purchase our Indian stuff, and I believe that that is the best, and we can be as competitive as anybody else.
Diwali is the time of endless festivities, fun and family celebrations. This Diwali, as millions of homes light up, the stress on local produce is surely spreading smiles to many homes.
This Diwali carries a strong vocal for local spirit, showcasing India's craftsmanship and supporting livelihoods. The vision of Atmanirbhar Bharat is also fueled by purchasing Swadeshi, India-made products this Diwali. With camera person Aditya Kasare, this is Shama Mishra for DD India, Mumbai.
And still to come in this edition of DD India Live. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce sues the Trump administration over the $100,000 H-1B visa fee, terming it unlawful. And Indian men's hockey team coach Craig Fulton talks about the rise of Indian hockey in recent years.
There's so many invaluable artifacts that the British have taken from our country. They robbed us of our self-respect. They robbed us of our honor. Loot was never innocent, it was painful.
The word loot, that was stolen from India too.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Gautam Roy. Now, the U.S. Chamber of Commerce has filed a legal challenge to the administration's $100,000 fee on H-1B visa petitions. In a lawsuit filed on Thursday in Washington, D.C., the Chamber asked the court to declare that President Trump exceeded the executive branch's authority by imposing the fee and block federal government agencies from enforcing it. The Chamber argued that the new fee is unlawful and threatens the country's access to global talent. Before the proposed $100,000 charge, most H-1B applications cost less than $3,600. The Chamber contends the steep fee could force businesses to reduce skilled hires or bear unsustainable labor costs, especially in tech and consulting sectors. The lawsuit marks the Chamber's first legal action against the Trump administration since it took office. And US President Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin agreed on Thursday to hold another summit on the Ukraine conflict. Trump said he would meet the Russian president in Hungary after a telephonic conversation with Putin on Thursday, which lasted 2.5 hours. Speaking to the media in the Oval Office thereafter, the US president said the call, the first with Putin since mid-August, was very productive, adding that teams from Washington and Moscow will meet next week.
I would say within 2 weeks or so, pretty quick. Marco Rubio is going to be meeting with his counterpart, as you know, Lavrov, and they'll be meeting pretty soon. They're going to set up a time and a place very shortly. Maybe it's already set up. They've already spoken. And I thought it was a very good phone call. I thought very productive. But I'll be meeting with President Putin, and we'll make a determination. Tomorrow I'm meeting with President Zelensky, and I'll be telling him about the call.
Meanwhile, the Kremlin has said on Friday that a summit between Presidents Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump could take place within 2 weeks or later, but that there was a lot to be worked out before an exact date could be set. It further said that Russian President Putin has told Trump that supplying U.S. Tomahawk cruise missiles to Ukraine would harm the peace process and damage U.S.-Russia ties. Kremlin aide Yuri Ushakov told reporters that a planned new summit between the two presidents will be preceded by a phone call between U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov in the coming days. He further added that the Putin-Trump call took place at Russia's initiative. And Russian President Putin has held a phone call on Friday with Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban to discuss the upcoming summit with U.S. President Donald Trump, which is expected to take place in Budapest. The Kremlin further added that Trump and Putin agreed on Thursday to another summit on the Ukraine conflict. It also said that Russia's President Putin briefed Orban on his conversation with Donald Trump, and Orban said that Hungary was ready to provide the necessary conditions for organizing the summit. And Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has met U.S. government officials and defense companies' representatives in Washington, D.C. on Friday. He and his delegation held a meeting with U.S. Department of Energy Secretary Chris Wright and representatives from Lockheed Martin and Raytheon. Zelensky was headed to the White House on Friday to push for more military support, including U.S.-made long-range Tomahawk missiles. French President Emmanuel Macron welcomed European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen at the Élysée Palace in Paris on Friday. Both the leaders were due to discuss supporting Ukraine and the situation in the Middle East. As Trump said on Thursday, he may meet Russian President Vladimir Putin within the next 2 days, or 2 weeks rather, in Budapest. Madagascar's new military ruler, Colonel Michael Randrianina, has been sworn in as president on Friday after the military took power in the island nation this week following youth-led protests which forced Ansh Ratwela to flee. The High Constitution Court performed the swearing-in ceremony of the new president, Rajoelina, whom lawmakers impeached after he fled abroad over the weekend, has condemned the takeover and refused to step down despite widespread defections in the security forces. Colonel Randrianina said earlier that the military had taken power and dissolved all institutions except the lower house of parliament or National Assembly. He also said that a committee led by the military would rule for up to 2 years alongside a transitional government before organizing new elections. The chief prosecutor of Bangladesh's International Crimes Tribunal has sought death penalty for former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina and former Home Minister Asaduzzaman Khan Kamal in a case related to alleged crimes against humanity during the July movement. Chief Prosecutor Tajul Islam made a plea before the 3-member ICT-1 bench headed by Justice Muhammad Ghulam Murtaza Majumdar after completing 5 days of law point agreements or arguments on behalf of the petitioner, the prosecution. According to reports from United News of Bangladesh, the prosecutor also requested the tribunal to decide on an appropriate sentence for former Inspector General of Police Chaudhry Abdul Al-Mamun, who testified as a state witness in the case. Violent clashes have erupted near Bangladesh's parliament as survivors and families of the 2024 July uprising confronted the police ahead of July National Charter signing. The protesters of 2024 July uprising, which caused the ouster of former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, are demanding official recognition and social security, accusing Chief Advisor Muhammad Yunus's government of betraying its promises to the July uprising victims. After being blocked from entering the parliament complex by law enforcement, the agitators retaliated by vandalizing vehicles and setting fire to a temporary reception area. Security forces later restored order and cleared traffic though fresh protests broke out in Dhanmondi area of Dhaka. India has called upon Bangladesh to undertake necessary measures to uphold the sanctity of the international boundary and support the construction of fencing which is needed to prevent cross-border crimes and smuggling. India's strong reaction came in the wake of an incident involving Bangladeshi nationals in the northeast Indian state of Tripura, leading to the death of 3 Bangladeshi smugglers on the 15th of October, about 3 kilometers inside Indian territory. A group of 3 miscreants from Bangladesh crossed the international border and attempted to steal cattle from the local village inside Indian territory. Authorities rushed to the spot where 2 smugglers were found dead. A third succumbed to his injuries in hospital the following day. Mortal remains of all 3 have been handed over to the Bangladeshi side. The police have also registered a case. Now let's get to some sports. And Indian hockey has experienced significant growth in recent years. In 2023, India won a gold medal at the Asian Games and Asian Champions Trophy and clinched a bronze at the 2024 Summer Olympics in Paris. In an exclusive conversation with DD India's Narayan Singh, Indian men's hockey team coach Craig Fulton spoke about the rise of Indian hockey in the past decade and preparations for future tournaments.
In the recent times, we have seen big improvement in the Indian hockey. Indian hockey team won back-to-back medals in the Olympics. And right now, I'm joined by the coach of the Indian hockey team, Craig Fulton. Craig, a very warm welcome. Recently, we saw a big improvement in the Indian hockey, the way they performed in the Olympics, the Asian Games, and the Asian Champions Trophy too. So, what changes as a coach you saw in the Indian hockey from the past decade?
No, I think the team is skillful, the players are skillful, they're powerful, they're quick. I think we just had to improve the defending. I think the goalkeeping's been good, the defending. When we get it to a certain level, then we're very competitive. So that's been a big change.
In the recent past, we saw many changes in the hockey team. Also, the new goalkeeper is coming, and the few new players are there also. So we can say the big transition is in the Indian hockey team. So how you look this transition?
Yeah, well, the only constant is change, and it's a good thing. It's healthy. We always want to create good competition for places. But you've also got a good core of senior players. We just want to blend some younger players with the senior players. Olympics is not a place you want to put in 15 new players, you know, so you would like previous Olympians to come back and play the tournament. So it's just, this is the time to do it, to try and transition the younger players with the older players, and also the players that didn't make it, that have been in the squad for a long time. So it's also giving them a good opportunity.
But talking about the Indian performance, we saw that, especially in Paris, they were looking like that they were better than the European teams, the way they performed, but they eventually won the bronze medal. So what are your preparations to convert the color of that medal in the upcoming mega events?
Just to keep working really, really hard, and like I said, create real depth and competition in the squad. We can't really worry about too much about the other teams, but we can worry about ourselves, and we'll have a good benchmark with the World Cup in 10 months' time, but then three weeks later is the Asian Games, and we still have to qualify. So that's going to be a focus.
So definitely we saw the way Craig said that the Indian hockey is in right path, and there are many skillful players who are performing well, and there is also a transition in the hockey Indian hockey team, which is for the good of the team. So hopefully we will see a change of color in the medal in the upcoming editions. With camera person Rajesh Riki, Narayan Singh, DD India, Delhi.
And that's all we have for this edition of DD India Live. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. And for those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India's mobile app. It's available on both Android and iOS. Just scan the QR code on the screen and download the app right away. And we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Gautam Roy. And from all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India Live.